All right, Matt's in. For some reason it's not showing how many viewers are in here yet. I know Matt's going to be live tuned today. And let's see here. I think Tyler was live stream tuning today. Maybe. Let's see if I can find that email. There it is. It doesn't have any logs in it, doesn't look like. I guess I don't have any logs from you, Tyrell. I'm not sure if you're in here right now or not. It's not showing me who's in the chat. Blow on Matt Castles. Nice. Yeah, that T30, he's talking about the bolt that holds the heat shield on the Focus RS and the Mustangs to change the wastegate actuator. And if you don't get at it right, it strips out and it's in a pain in the ass to get it back out. You have to cut it, drill it, something like that. But the easiest way is with like 3 feet of extensions and going from behind the subframe up, and you can get right at the bolt. So Matt Castle's engine and turbo could hold 50 psi. No, definitely not. Nathan, we'll look at that log you sent over to me as well. Also, your other email about the misfire codes that you're getting. That's likely because the misfire correction wasn't done correctly. But we'll take one log. It's likely happening on cold starts. So on cold starts, it pulls a ton of timing to get the cat to warm up, even if you don't have one. It's just part of the emission system. And sometimes it pulls way too much timing and it'll make the car misfire. So we'll look at it, see if it's doing that. If it is, I can make a quick change and it'll never come back. So we'll take a look at it after we check these logs today. And Joey, I need to send you the stuff for E85. Let's do that first. Let's see here. So Joey, hopefully you are empty and you can go put E85 in the car. Yeah, Joey, I'll set you up with, excuse me, set you up with the E85 tune right now. We're going to start off kind of slow here. Boop, boop. And we'll allow for a hell of a lot more boost than what you're running on 91 octane. That thing was knocking like crazy. So we got to raise the boost limit to start. And then allow it to make more boost as well. Well, don't head there yet, Joey. Let me get the file over to you so you have it ready when you're there. That. Five. Wish you just had an upgraded pump and injectors, because it would be a hell of a lot easier to set the car up for E85, because I can just do it with one tune versus having to have a split-second tune and a Cobb tune for it. So you're going to get an email with the Cobb tune, with the split-second controller tune. Fill up the car, flash those tunes. As soon as you start to see your fuel trims go heavy positive, that's when you'll switch over the tune to the 85 tune. So that heavy positive means the car is starting to see 85 and it's adding a ton of fuel to keep the air fuel on target. So that's how you can tell when the 85 is entering your engine. So once you see that, switch over the tune, plug in the injectors, and then you're good to go. Let's see. Now we need E85 tune for the split second controller. And I can't really show it on the live stream. I have to make another window for it, but it's pain. Let's see. Put that in there. Joseph chip. Boom. Boom. Updates. No, revisions. Where are you? Where are you? Or they leave you in the inbox. Might be still in the inbox. There it is. I'm looking right at the email. Send you my little notes to make it easier. Bam. 85 tune and then split second tune. Where? I had to send this to you before we started today, but I got a late start, so apologize. All right. You're in the Fiesta cruising home right now. Nice. So we're going to do Joey's car on E85 today. He has a EcoBoost Mustang with the 7163 EFR turbo kit on it. So he's going to have port injection with the stock fuel system as well. So I just sent him over a tune to log. Let's see. Nathan's got one of our short blocks and cylinder heads in the EcoBoost Mustang as well, on 93 octane right now. And we're just starting the very first portion of the tune for the new engine and turbo upgrades. So we're going to do his car today as well. I already went over Joey's. And then Matt Castle has a Focus RS that we're going to be tuning today as well. And there's a Tyler, I don't see him in here yet, but there was a guy, Tyler, that wanted to do a tune today on his RS. So he might jump in as well. So Joey, you got your tune. Go get that sorted. Matt, let's open up your tune here. Boom. What the hell is the bam? Okay. Cool. All right, Matt, let's grab your log here. There they are. Great. So Focus RS bolt-ons, 93 octane stock turbo. This is the first base map, so we're going to check our boost, see where we're at. So the wastegate's got a little bit too much preload on it, but it's okay. It's not too much to where I can't adjust it out in the tune, so this is fine. But you can see the red line is your boost pre-throttle, and that being flat there, that means that sensor's maxed out completely, and then it slowly starts to taper itself in because the stock turbo runs out of airflow. So looks cool and all, making a flat boost curve there, but that's not realistic for for where you're going to end up. So we're going to need to pull boost back down, or pull boost down to accommodate for the wastegate. And you're getting a little bit of knock. So put in the chat what brand fuel you're running in the car right now. So we got a pretty decent amount of knock, but this might actually go away once we bring boost down. When you kind of overshoot that much, they tend to make the car knock because the throttle body is working so much and it's right by the knock sensors. So we'll drop boost down to sort that out, and you can go back out and do another log there. And one last thing I'm going to check. A little wavy on the fuel down low, but that also has to do with overshooting boost a bit. So no big deal. It's just got a little bit too much preload on it, but it's not going to hurt anything. We just got to bring it back into real life here. that up at the end. Chevron 93. What state are you in again? Right, Matt, you got a new tune in your inbox. Nathan, we went over the misfire that you're seeing already. And what else you got? Cat delete code, PCV code, grill shutter code. Okay, I'll get those as well. E6 new motor, wrap plug, stock, injectors, plugs, and APF. Okay. All right, got all that. Where is your logs at? Ah, here we go. Sorry, got moved over into the queue already. Alabama, okay. Well, I just sent you that new tune. Just go ahead and run that real quick. It might not be the fuel, so it's more than likely just because it was overshooting boost a little bit. So why is my camera moving? Here we go. So it's probably just from overshooting boost a little bit, but we can tune it out. It's not a huge deal. And Nathan, this is your log up here right now. So the log is good. Started a little too low. Try to start around 2,500 RPM. So you can see the green line is your pedal, and you started at 2,000-ish. So just bump that up to 2,500 just so you don't get any lugging knock. And yeah, you're getting pretty good amount of knock there in the mid range, even right off the bat when you're in spool. This is each cylinder's actual timing. So you can see right as you went, this is actually from lugging it. So this knock is real, but it's not significant. It's not a big deal because the car is just ramping up. But once you actually get into boost, even at 16 pounds, you're having huge corrections in cylinder 3 and 4. And it looks like cylinder 2 and 1. Actually, you had that significant knock on cylinder 1, 3, and 4, and cylinder 2 had a knock, and it carried the knock all the way out to redline. So fuel quality does not look that good, it seems. That or possibly the plugs were over-torqued when they were installed. They might be cracked. That happens a ton. I mean, probably once a week somebody emails me because their car's running like shit. They just installed plugs, and I tell them to take the plugs out and look at them. They pull them out, and the top's in pieces, or it's got a hairline crack on it. So might be worth popping the coils out and checking your plugs. But we need to be able to get a clean log here. And also because you have those misfire codes, that might actually be why, because your plugs might be cracked and causing that misfire down low. So this is your other log. And you have your knock as you spool because you started pretty low again. But they stayed corrected almost all the way out to like 5,300. So it's like it looks like we're kind of right on the borderline. But I'm gonna make a change to boost in the top end. It might be worth again. Now that you got a lot more of that fuel through, because I know you just changed fuels. So the new fuel might have been downgraded with the fuel that was in it before, and it hasn't cycled all the way through yet. So you probably have now, because I imagine you put more miles in the car since you sent this log. So I'm gonna make some changes to boost here, and then I'm gonna have you go back out and do another log. All right. So where are you at on the graph? 3. Okay. 13 foot-pounds is the torque spec for plugs in these cars. All cars, anything with aluminum head from Ford is going to have the same excuse me, the same torque spec. So I'm going to make these changes real quick to get you on some boost. We'll do 25 down low and ramping up to 50. That is what we're going to do. I'm super concentrated when I'm making changes on tunes. It's hard to talk at the same time. I'm actually going to toss this into... well, fuck, I can't. All right. That on the next one. D101. That's where we're going to be. Actually, you're a limited tune customer. From back in the day. Hey, Nick. What's up, man? On that same tune I just sent you, Nathan, just do the same, or sorry, the new tune I just sent you, just do the same exact logs that you did before, but start closer to 2,500. You want to be between 2,500 and 3,000. That's where I want everybody to be. So that new tune is sent over to you now. I also just pulled a hair of timing out through the whole RPM range to see if we can clear that up as well. That's in there. All right. So Joey, you're out doing your thing. Let's see if Tyrell responds. Tyrell, if you're watching right now, it doesn't show me who's actually viewing right now. But if you're watching right now, I'm sending you an email. I haven't received logs from you yet if you wanted to participate in today's live stream. So I'm just going to shoot you an email real quick, and if you're not watching this, hopefully you get it. All right. Sent that off to him. Now, he said that he sent logs, but I don't have any. So it's interesting. Didn't have anything from you on there, bud. All right, let's see. Yeah, Nathan, if the car's cold right now and hasn't been driven recently, then you can hit record, key on, turn the car on, hit record, and then start it. So start the log, I mean, as well. And that'll catch, the car just being on and then it cranking over and then it'll run. And you can probably just let it idle for about 60 seconds in that log and then stop it and send it over to me. And then also go do the same log, do your fifth gear pull because you should be, automatic car. So fifth gear, 2,500 to 3,000 RPM, somewhere in the between. That's when you'll hammer it and take it all the way out to 6,500 RPM unless you feel something weird. Don't stay in it if it breaks up. Don't stay in if you hear big knock or misfires and stuff. So, but yeah, get that done real quick. Matt, you are out doing logs. Joey, you've already got your tune. Let me see if I have anybody else in here. I didn't even post on Facebook that the live was on right now. Seems when I post anything on Facebook, it just gets pushed behind because of my recent bans. I got zooked on Facebook. Sucks. And anyways, it sucks because of the fucking people that try to see my posts and stuff. And if I post up a car for sale or something like that, because we build a ton of cars to sell, my posts don't show up for people. I get pushed back in their feeds and for like 30, 60 days or something like that. And, it makes it way harder to sell a car. It makes it harder to communicate with customers. It makes it harder to announce anything, especially like live feeds like this. The live feed will probably be over before anybody sees the post because even in the groups are pushing me back even further, and they're not even sending out notifications if I do post in the group. So it sucks, but I just gotta watch what I say on Facebook, I guess. All right, so we're gonna bust open another log real quick. For 2 hours. Let's get a YouTube link to post on Facebook real quick. See if we can get more people in here. All right, so we're gonna bust open. Got the link. As soon as I post a YouTube link onto Facebook, it's game over for my post. Always. I'm going to share this into the different groups so we can get some more people in, generate more questions. I think answering the questions on here is more entertaining for myself, I think. I like seeing the questions. I like giving answers because people, there's way too many questions being asked through email and stuff, and it's just typing it out versus just answering it here, saying it. It's just so much easier. Yep, I can already tell. It's already shared for a couple minutes and have 0 responses to any of the damn posts. $45 miles per gallon at 65 miles an hour cruise control, no wind. I always forget who you are because you don't. Your username is just free AOL CD, which is probably one of the best usernames there is. I love it. All right, let's pop open another log real quick while those guys are all out. One, 2, 10. Nice. I hope Nathan's watching because I just sent him a message. All right. Emails. Boop. All right. There's one that I wanted to look at. Here it is. It's a Fiesta customer that I'm tuning. And Stam Piran turbo kit for Fiesta. Cameron Garcia. Is that you, Cameron Garcia? If so, this is your log right here. I was just going to explain that these Piran kits have a bunch of boost creep. Because usually with wastegate duty cycle, I have to ramp it up. S280 fist on Washington, 92 octane. Yeah, that's a lot of people. I got a lot of customers with an S280 and a Fiesta, Washington, Pacific Northwest on 92 octane. Anyways, usually on these, on big turbo kits and any turbo car, I'm usually having to ramp wastegate duty cycle up to get more boost out of it. This one's the exact opposite. As I decrease boost, or wastegate duty cycle, the boost keeps coming up. So that's just me counteracting the creep in the turbo kit. So it's like a manifold issue. There's not enough exhaust flowing out the external wastegate right away, and it's not enough airflow. So when it's trying to divert it to let boost, maintain steady, the exhaust is still going into the turbo and spooling up, and that's where you get boost creep from. That, or you get boost creep from significant restrictions in the exhaust, and also vice versa. Sometimes that can cause the turbo to die off sooner too, but usually you'll see creep before you see it die off. And sometimes if your wastegate is like the hose isn't connected to the boost control solenoid 100% with like a clamp or zip tie, it'll spool, or sorry, boost creep up in the top end. So I like the boost curve, even though it's creeping up. I still like to have a little bit lower boost at peak torque and then ramp it up through the RPM. Kind of gives you a better driver feel as well. So I'm just going to leave the boost curve exactly how it is. I'm not going to change the shaping of it. I'm just going to overall raise boost. So let's check to see if you have any knock and see where you're at for timing. 91 octane, so this is perfect timing for 91. And air fuel is flat. So, and we're not running out of fuel up top, so we can turn up boost more. And that should have been the second revision. Yep. All right, so Cameron, you're going to have a tune sent over here in a sec for you to run through. Why? That's not right. Interesting. There we go. Oh, it's sorry, looking at your logs here, the wastegate is actually set up to be flat. The wastegate duty cycle is set up to be flat, but it does have this taper on it, and it might be, yeah, it's just from the charge air temps being just a little bit warmer. I can address that. So we'll just go straight up 10%. Same as that curve. It should be perfect. So you got a new email, Cameron. You can go get that log and send it back to me. We can do another one. And Matt, you've already sent a new log. Maybe. There we are. Okay, so Matt, give me 1 sec because I got Tyrell's logs. Hopefully he's watching. So 94 octane. So he's it's gonna be Canada car, I'm assuming. 94 octane. So we got good timing, no knock at all, which is kind of odd because 94 out in Canada is kind of junk. Good air fuel, little unsteady just right here because we had that quick little boost spike there, but all good. And your torque, so pink line is torque that I'm targeting in the tune, and purple line is the torque that the engine is actually producing. So you see right on that target, and then the turbo here dies off, or sorry, the torque is dying off here because the turbo is running out of airflow. And also, once you upgrade turbo, this torque still kind of dies off because your cylinder head flows like shit, and you got a ton of turbine pressure. So, but yeah, looking good there. We're going to raise torque up a little bit. Your charge air temp, that's in Celsius, 7 degrees Celsius, 7C2F. The fuck is that? 44 degrees, definitely Canada. God damn, that's fucking cold. Woo! Fucking 75 here in Minnesota, man. Brisk. All right, we're going to allow for some more torque, which the ECU automatically compensate and allow for more boost to reach that torque because we're not at the boost limit yet. That's the red line there is the boost that's pre-throttle actually being made, and the purple line is what's being targeted by the ECU. So it's riding that limit pretty well. So we got a lot of turbo left to raise up and hit the new torque numbers I'm going to set. So going into the tune here. These cars love to make torque when it's cold outside. So that's why you're hitting that torque limit right away, which We got a little bit of room to go up, so no big deal. That's not what I selected. The fuck's going on here? Here we go. There we go. All right, Tyrell, I sent you another tune back if you want to go log again. And Matt, I'm going to open up your logs here in a second. Just the same exact logs, Tyrell. Let's see. Sorry. Go ahead and do the same exact log again. Third gear, and then if everything looks good and you're hitting the new torque limits that we just set, I'll send you over another tune to finalize everything and have you go do 3 separate logs for 3 different things. When I send it over, we'll go over it. But you have a new tune in your inbox. And Matt, I'm going to pull yours open real quick. That was probably the quickest log turnaround. So that's good. Still got some flat boost, so where are we at? So we're just overshooting a hair. It's not that big of a concern. But yeah, 25 is right what we're looking for on 93. Air fuel still looks good. But still getting that knock. So I'm going to assume this is going to be like a fuel quality issue here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull timing back. I actually already did. I pulled a degree out, I believe, on the last tune. Damn, I think I might got an eyelash in my fucking eye. Fucking A. Here we go. Battling an eyelash. Oh, still there. All right. No, it looks like we left timing where it was. Fucking eyelash, man. Jeez. Yeah, getting a little correction up top. All right, so we're going to just pull timing back a hair, and also boost is just going to come down just a smidge more. Not much, though, because we're right at the limit, right where we want to be. You got another log, or a new tune coming over. So go ahead and do the, hold on. Go ahead and do the 3 logs that I'm sending over. It's going to be outlined in the email, but I'm going to go over here as well. All right, you got a new email, bud. So go ahead and do those 3 logs and send them over. So the first one's going to be the same exact log you've already done, which is a full throttle 3rd gear pull. The second one, you're going to take off from a stop and accelerate normally, not like gunning on or anything, up to about 50 miles an hour. Don't go full throttle. Accelerate as if you were taking off from a stoplight and there was a cop next to you. That's what I put in my description. And then just 5 minutes of driving around, just normal city driving, you know, like you're going down to the grocery store and back. And that'll just kind of show me how the car's responding in normal, you know, daily driving, what you're going to do 90% of the time. So go ahead and do those logs. All right. Back since the log. Let's see. Mr. Adam, I was wondering about how much you would charge me for a consultation for a list of parts to pair with that little turd of mine, VT330R. Yeah, just email me, tuning@adamtune.com, and we'll just go over it and try to get you the best bolt-ons to go with that that little turd, as you said, turbo. But yeah, you can email me. You don't need to pay anything for that. You know, if I'm going to be tuning the car, I want to make sure you're going to have good parts. So it's better for me to give you, you know, the advice, so I'm not tuning something that might have issues. Let's see. Chevron. Yes. Damn you, Chevron. Let's see here. So we're all good there. So we've got a couple guys out doing logs right now. So I'll probably see those with a quicker turnaround than usual, which is awesome. Let's see. Ryan's Fiesta. Let's take a look at that log real quick. Getting some waviness up there. It's fucking TikTok's open on my phone. Yeah, Joey. So after you put E85 in, I don't know how much fuel you actually had in the tank, but the lines and the fuel sending unit itself can hold old fuel about 10, 15 miles usually. So, but just set a gauge on your access port to short-term fuel trims or STFT on the access port. Set a gauge up for that so you can watch it and just keep driving on the same tune, the 91 tune. And as soon as you see the short-term fuel trims skyrocket, like go plus like 25 or 30, that's when you know the 85 is making it to your system because the ECU is noticing that it's having to add more fuel to reach the fuel target. So as soon as you see that happen, just pull over and flash those tunes and then drive around for like just a couple more minutes. Make sure your short-term fuel trims go back to normal. And then go do your pull. So I would like to see, at least 15 minutes of driving before you do a pull on it. And if you read the instructions I sent you, for the first time you fill up with the ED5 and you're using your port injection kit, you're just doing a partial pull. You're not doing all the way 2,500 to 7,000 RPM. You're going to do 2,500 to about 4,500 RPM. Stop, send me the log and send it over. I want to make sure that the fueling's getting into the engine. Then we're not running lean or too rich. We need to get a good baseline, and then I make changes from there. So if everything looks good, then you go out and do the full pull like you did before. Let's see. I fixed my virtual dyno settings, showing 277 horsepower, 310 torque on 92 octane. That's not too bad, depending on what your elevation is. Being in Washington, you could either be at sea level or up in the air. So we have some overshooting of target here. Target boost is the red line, and the white line is the boost pre-throttle that's actually being made. So if this is clipping, the white and the red line, if you have clipping, your throttle's going to engage and start closing to block out the additional boost to protect the engine. So just has a little bit of overshooting. We're targeting about 26 pounds of boost as long as your fuel will take it, which it looks like it is. Yep, just these little dips in your timing here, which is the yellow line. Looks like you were hitting some holes probably in the road or the tires were spinning a little bit. But we're going to leave timing where it's at, and I am just going to flatten out boost on this so we can get rid of that super waviness there, and we should be good to go. This is Brian M. I'm not going to say his full name, but this is Brian M's Fiesta if you're watching on here. Yeah, drop boost down. It's probably even creeping a little bit. This is just 93. Okay. Right. We'll work on spool a little bit as well. I think we can get a little bit more spool out of the car. So I'll make some changes for that to get some faster spool. So if you're watching new tune in your inbox, go log it. I'm doing well. Nice. All right. All right. Didn't miss anybody's questions, did I? All right. So Nathan, I hope you're doing good, and we can get those logs. Camera, get out, do your logs. Matt, I just sent you a new one, and Joey should have your logs here in like 15, 20 minutes probably. Where are we at? No, I mean, no TunePlus at the EcoBoost shootout. I have no idea. I don't know if any customers win or not. But usually for those big EcoBoost events or whatever, I've been to like 3 of them, and it's always a tiny, tiny showing. And that's why there's not continuous EcoBoost shows going on and events because nobody shows up for them. So it was in like Bradenton, Florida, which was like um, the first year we were in business under the TunePlus name. That is, we went all the way down to Bradenton, and I think there were like 4 cars in our class. 5. There was 4 cars. It was a Fusion, 3 EcoBoost Mustangs. So that was the 4 cars, and then there was 2 F-150s in that class. And they didn't give that class another shot, so they didn't do it again. It was at the Ford Nationals or something like that event. So they added it. Not enough cars. It just slows other classes down when you don't have enough cars to make it worth their while. It's all about the money. So they closed that. They don't do that anymore. And then later on that year, or possibly the following year, there was another one that was at Bowling Green, Kentucky. We went to that, and I think it was 5 cars. I think it was my car, Jason Justy's car, which I was tuning at the time, UPR's yellow car, and I forget her name. It was a girl with a white EcoBoost Mustang that was like stripped out, tubular K member and stuff in it, and supposedly stock turbo, but it wasn't stock turbo. And then at this event, it was like fully built and everything, but she wouldn't share any information on it. So, but yeah, it was like 5 cars showed up, so they didn't even do an event again there. And then somebody was supposed to throw some sort of EcoBoost class together that I think was at it wasn't import versus domestic. It was something else. Maybe it was an SET event, streetcar takeover. But they proposed it, and like during signups or whatever, like 2 people signed up from the entire United States. So it's just always a poor showing, and it's not really worth my while to go out to those events because the customers know who we are. People know who we are. And I don't need to, show up at these events to do anything because I've already done it before everybody else. So new companies come around and they have to do these things, so they'll go to the track, and then after a couple years they'll stop going as well. It always happens. It's always the case. So, but next year, if there is an EcoBoost class anywhere, I'm building a car right now where we would take that car and specifically just to set records with it and showcase our engines that we build. So that is a 86 Mustang SVO original car that has EcoBoost swap in it with a 6R80 trans that's built. So that car is going to be fast. It's going to be a fast car. I picked that chassis because there's so many parts available for it, so many like tubular kits for the front end and stuff to make the car super light. So the car on a stock engine already, stock engine, stock turbo, stock everything, all it has is just a 93 tune and an intercooler, and then like a custom exhaust to fit the car, obviously. The car already went 11s, so on street tires. So if it's going 11 on street tires with stock like 300 horsepower, barely, maybe just a little bit over 300, imagine what it's going to do with like 700 horsepower. It's just going to be insane. So they make a ton of torque, and that's what really helps them get out of the hole. So the car will be fast. It will be one of the fastest cars that's EcoBoost powered, if not the fastest. Then I'll go to events. So that was a long answer to a very short question. Adam, curious if you've done a car with a GTX 3576 or 3582, been looking into getting a long block with one of these turbo setups. I'm going to assume you have a Focus RS. If you have a Focus RS, yes, I've done the 3576 and the 3582. The first car that I did the 3582 on was a 2.3 liter EcoBoost Focus RS. It wasn't a 2.0 or anything, or stroker or anything. And the car was just super laggy. It never got up on boost. It was just like a straight boost curve all the way to redline. And I told the customer that there's probably something going on with the wastegates. We didn't build it. They brought the car to us. And they built it with like our parts, but they did it themselves. I said, there's got to be something wrong with the wastegates. Either the springs are too soft and they're just blowing open, or it's leaking somewhere on the manifold and stuff. So we kind of just did a once over, but really has to just come apart to check everything. But that car it wasn't significant for spool. Like I said, it was almost like a supercharged car where it was just straight lines going, up in RPM. But that car still made like 690 real horsepower. And that was we ended up finding out after he took it. both wastegates were leaking, and the turbo wasn't lined up with the manifold. It's a twin scroll, but it's a V-band, and it's got a slot in the middle, and that slot has a locating pin on it. And if you don't have that in, then you could be crooked, and you're going to have airflow going like this. So I think that car would have made easily over 700 wheel. And I would guess on a 3582, it'd probably hit on a 2.3 around 4,700 RPM for spool. The second car that I did was a GTX 3576, but it was a 2.42 stroker build that we did. Sleeve block and everything, half-inch head studs. And we did the 3576, and it made 650 wheel horsepower. That's all you wanted to make. Didn't want to push it more than that, especially because the transmission was stock. But anyways, put at 650 wheel horsepower, and it hit peak torque. It was 2.4 liter, remember that. The 2.42 liter. It hit peak torque, which is like peak boost, or your target boost, around about, I think, 3,900 RPM. So it was pretty good. I think if you're going to do that, we would, and if we're building the engine, I would probably build you that 2.42 stroker, to get you that faster spool, and, overall displacement increase is obviously going to make power too. So the 2.42 is like a perfect combination. I think the 2.5s are too much stroke for the block. You get a really poor rod ratio, and you just have a higher risk of knocking out the cylinder liner of the cylinders. 2.42 still gives you the same exact rod ratio as the 2.3, and a better rod ratio means it's easier on the engine to rotate, especially like when it's firing. And when it's easier, it means that it's less stress on the cylinder walls. So that's, if you're going with us for that turbo setup and our long block, it wouldn't be an additional charge. It would just be our standard pricing like we would do for our sauce block, which is the same block as our current short block, the one block. But it adds sleeving, X-beam or I-beam rods, depending on what's available, and then upgraded wrist pins. And that's what you're going to need to max out those turbos. And Joey, do you open new customer? You do. Let's see here. Let me bring up the software real quick. You think you just open customer. You don't do new customer, because the file that I sent you in email is the customer file. So that's what you're opening. So you go File, Open Customer, and then click the file that I sent you in your inbox. Geez, I opened up the software way too much. Here we go. I just think the 3582R and 3584RS are insanely big turbos for the RS. I remember an old video had a white RS with the stroker and the 3582, but I'm just worried about lag. That old video white RS should be the one I'm talking about, the one that we built 2.42 liter. And then it was a 3576. It wasn't 3582, but yeah, I think the 3576 is going to be your best bet, or just go with our Zona kit, because we just changed the turbo in our Zona kit. I haven't made an announcement yet, but we just changed the turbo, and now we have 100 more horsepower of airflow with the new turbo, and the spool is only going to be sacrificed by about 500 RPM. So our Zona kit is the fastest spooling kit out there. Nothing spools faster than not even the NX2. So if you pair that with like a stroker setup, the thing's going to spool very, very fast, like 3,500 RPM, probably 600 foot-pounds of torque. So it's going to spool very fast. It's going to be an awesome new setup. I'd save that email. I'd save that file out of my email again, because it shouldn't say test file. It should say E85 file copy or something like that. All right, nothing in that chat. Let's get that sorted. All right, so I'm going to go over an email that I have here. So I get probably 3 or 4 emails a week for full builds that we do. Focus RS, Fiesta ST, Focus ST, EcoBoost Mustangs. We build them all. But it's not cheap to build these cars. So a lot of people that reach out to me for pricing, I usually don't hear back from them. I would say 50% of the time. Because building like an RS, for example, if you want 500 plus horsepower safely, you can need to spend, if the car's stock, that is, about $20,000 roughly. That's built engine, built engine with 625 plus head studs, our CNC ported head, turbo kit. So the engine itself, a full long block's like 10 grand. You know, after you put all new OEM parts and stuff on it and assemble it, you got 10 grand there. You got 6 grand in a turbo kit. So that's 16 grand right there. Now you need a high pressure fuel pump and injectors. So you're looking at another $2,700 right there. So you're already almost at 20 grand. You still need a clutch, and you still need intercooler and a catback, you know, or you can just run no catback if you want. Turbo kit's going to come with an intake and charge pipe, blow off valve, wastegates, downpipe, all that good stuff. So that's why you don't need those. But still, you know, you're looking at 20 grand. So I send that off like, hey, you know, if you want to make that power, that's just going to cost you. So these cars aren't cheap to build. It's not like a Honda or anything like that, or a Chevy LS. They cost money to build. And yeah, the power output is just kind of, you know, right in the middle of the road. It's 500, 600 horsepower safely on these things. So, but I got an email here, guys asking for a build. So I just kind of want to go over some of the stuff that I do, you know, throughout the week. But he says 2017 RS stock motor. It has a bunch of bolt-ons now, and I have some extra parts. But would you guys be willing to quote a build similar to the orange RS that you just posted on Instagram using some of the parts that I already have? Touching base on the orange car, we just built and sold it and shipped it, but the car's actually coming back to me because the customer can't keep it. So I was nice enough to work with them and stuff, and he was nice enough to work with me on it. And we're actually taking that car back, and it's going to go back up for sale. So if anybody's interested in a fully built Focus RS with tons of mods that'll make over 500 wheel horsepower, almost 600 wheel horsepower if you set it up right with us. If anybody wants to buy one, we're going to have one for sale, along with 2 other cars that we're building. So, but anyways, wastegate, downpipe, baffle plate, fuel filter, flex fuel kit. Pretty sure it's the same one you guys have, minus AN fittings and fuel lines. Just wasn't sure if you did custom builds for customers or not. If so, send more details on the car. I bought these parts and had intentions of installing myself, but just do not have the time and would like everything done right. So we'll build anything, any way anybody wants. If you already have the parts, that's fine too. If you need more parts, obviously we prefer you get them through us if we're building it. But if you have a stock turbo car, and I don't know what his power goal is, he kind of wants a similar build to the orange car, which is about 440, 450 wheel horsepower on 93. And if it's good 93 and it's good weather, if it's hot outside and you got shitty 93, it's not going to make that power. But it makes about 450 right now because it's nice and cool outside and we have really good 93 octane here. So, but anyways, he wants to do a build like that. But he's going to need a turbo at minimum. He's going to need to do a built block, and he's going to do a built head and stuff. So some parts won't move over. For example, if you have a wastegate on your stock turbo, that doesn't move over to the new turbo. It doesn't fit. If you do a turbo kit, you're not going to reuse your downpipe you have now because the turbo kit requires a new design of downpipe, along with intake and charge pipes and stuff. So fuel filter and a flex fuel kit, I'm assuming he's talking about port injection kit, all that stuff can move over. So if he wants similar build, he's looking about $2,000 for a turbo. About for the engine setup we did, and that's about $8,000 with all new OEM parts. Maybe about $8,500, between $8,000 and $8,500 for that specific setup that we did on that car. You have a downpipe already. You're going to need to get a new wastegate. It's going to be one of our hot sauce wastegate actuators. So you're looking at $200 there. You have fuel system, so you're good there. You're going to need a clutch. That's $1,600. You have a baffle plate, but I don't see a catch can, so you're going to need to add a catch can to the system. You do have an intake, but that's not a huge deal. We use a stock intake up to like 550 wheel horsepower. And I don't see an exhaust. You can use the stock exhaust. It's not going to become a restriction until about 450. So that would be a good build if you want to keep stock exhaust. It'll sound a hell of a lot better if you keep stock exhaust. But I'm going to reply to the customer with all that information, kind of give them best price. And if we're doing the engine swap ourselves, we charge about $35 to $4,000 to fully remove the engine, disassemble it, assemble a new engine, put it back in, along with all your clutch and bolt-ons, your turbo, your fuel system, all that stuff gets installed all at the same time under the same price. And then we got street tuning costs on top of it. So that's between $3,500 and $4,000, including all the fluids and stuff too. And then if you are interested in the build and you're watching this, I own a transport company as well. The truck's out right now in Virginia, picking up a couple cars to bring back to us for builds. But we do transport services as well. So if you're in like Florida, it's not a big deal that we're in Minnesota. We can arrange it for us to pick up your car and bring it all the way back to us. And when the car's done, the same thing. Joey, you downloaded it and it's not showing up on the R4. So open up the R4 software, hit File and Close Customer, and then Open Customer, and then it'll show up. So, or it's just close everything and just reopen it and hit, Open Customer. Maybe try saving it to a different folder. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let's see. So, greetings from Puerto Rico. How much horsepower does a 2015 EcoBoost have with the stock motor? I have many modifications, but it is more or less. So, if you're trying to max out the stock engine, it depends. If you want to risk it for the biscuit, we've done 550 wheel horsepower on a stock engine, and it's gone tens. That is Ben's car. But anyways, that's like pushing it. That car was an NX2 fully maxed out, plus nitrous on top of it. So it made 550, 50 horsepower from the nitrous alone. So, so if you want to push it, you can do that. But realistically, I consider the safe point on stock 2.3 and Focus ST 2.0s between 400 and 430 wheel horsepower, somewhere in between. So we've pushed a couple way more than that, and didn't blow up, and everything was fine, and they went to the track and have like 100 plus passes on them. But some cars at like 420 horsepower will blow up. Some cars like 440 will blow up. So I think the best safe limit for the stock engines between 400 and 420. And Fiesta ST is 350 roughly, but even like a 300, some guys have some issues with head gaskets and stuff. So. Was curious about the Zona kit. Seems like a better kit than the ETS considering spool and price. Thanks for the answers. Enjoy your Sunday. So Adam, the kit is going to be the same because ETS makes our turbo kits for us. But the turbo itself is what's different, and they have to change the turbo kit to fit that turbo that we supply them because of the housing changes. So, and the placement of the compressor cover. So, with that said, the price is for the new turbo. I'm going to change the price. It's going to be $6,000 instead of $5,800, I believe it was, because we have the cost on the turbo went up, and it's going up almost exactly $200. So we're only increasing the price to cover the turbo and not make more profit. So, but that's going to be the best turbo setup for these cars for a nice max safe limit on a built setup. So Nathan's on his way back. Let's see here. Using stage 2 cob package for 2.3 Mustang, and I still notice it's really rich on the top end. How much power do you think I'm losing for quarter mile racing? I mean, if you're running a stage 2 package with their tune, I mean, you're missing a lot of power, and they do run rich because they fall along with the factory fuel strategy. They don't make any changes to it. And with that said, the factory fuel strategy is to run super, super rich in the top end to avoid knocking. So when you do a full custom tune, you can lean it out and it'll make more power. And the same thing goes for like boost on that tune is very, very soft. It's not peaking torque. It's not flat. It just kind of just rolls over. So if you did a full custom tune, you'd pick up probably on a stage 2 setup, like another 20 to 30 horsepower with a stage 2 setup. So if you go to our website, just www.tuneplusinc.com /products/purchase tune. I might be able to say it in the chat and it might show up. Maybe. Let me put it in there. Here we go. Now it's in there. So if you purchase a tune, you'll be able to make, like I said, another 20, 30 horsepower on that setup. And then Nathan, you're on your way back. Cool. Do you have any info on the new revised 2.3 EcoBoost? Are you planning on working with those new engines or 2024 EcoBoost Mustangs? More than likely, all they're going to do is they're going to switch it over to the same exact 2.3 that's in the Ranger, which adds an EGR to the exhaust side and also moves the high pressure fuel pump from the exhaust to the intake. So some minimal changes there. Besides that, they're probably not going to change anything else. And if there's tuning support for them, we're going to tune them. Okay, you sent me a picture. Um, you can still load that tune. Let me try resetting the email. I think no, that's your computer doing that, Joey. So that's the right file. I know it shows different, but it should still open up in there. If it doesn't show up, just click on the bottom of your window that pops up to pick your file. On the bottom, change it to all files, and then click it. And then it should still open. It's probably just not recognizing it as a file it can open because the computer is changing the extension on it. So, but it should still pull up. Yeah, I know it's John from Puerto Rico. Let's see, anyway, back, cold start, new data log. Okay. See if I have some new logs. Email's going slow. Fuck. That worked. Sweet. Awesome. We're going to pop open another log here real quick. So here we got, let's see, this is Focus RS down in Arizona. A little bit of elevation. It's got our built long block in it, so it has our short block, has our head on it, has a Precision NX2 with a upgraded wastegate actuator on it. It's running E54 because that's the highest ethanol content they get in Arizona. It's actually kind of nice. I prefer everywhere to have E54. It's about as all you need to make max power on these cars, even at 600. E54 is perfect for it. But yeah, and it's got X2 on it, XDI pump and injectors. So it's a 550 horsepower capable car when all said and done. You just recently went from a stock downpipe to a catted downpipe. And what we're looking at here is the boost that's being made versus the peach line. The peach line is the boost that I'm targeting. So it's a little low. I dropped it quite a bit to accommodate the car switching from a stock downpipe to a aftermarket catted one. You can see here, this is all for ignition timing. There's no knock at all. It's perfect. And that's the beauty of ethanol. You can run a ton of timing and not have any knock. So we're just going to raise boost up on this until we reach target, which is going to be about 25, 26 pounds of boost. So I will shoot that over to Scotty here. This is best log to date. Every single one he sent over so far has been kind of choppy. So looks like he's got it down now. So we're off boost target by about 10% roughly. Let's see. Yeah, roughly 10%. So we're going to raise it 10%. Peak torque, 4,000. Yep. 4,000 RPM. And going up 10%. It's got a little bit of elevation, so the turbo's got to work a little harder. All right, Scotty's got a new tune. And we're going to open up a customer that was having some Cold start issues, possibly. I'll have to take a look at it. All right. So this is another customer with one of our built engines, our short block and our head. We shipped him a fully assembled long block. And then he has a Precision NX2 with our hot sauce actuator on it. It's got a 4-bar map sensor on it, and it's got a Nostrum high pressure fuel pump and XDI injectors on E85. So this is cold start. So we just started the car. And his wideband isn't live yet, so the ECU can't currently make any fuel trims, changes to the fuel trim. So if I look at short-term fuel trims, they're probably going to be 0. Yep. So basically, the car is when you first start it, it needs to reach a certain coolant temperature point in order to start reading. The O2 sensor needs to warm up. That way, you get an air fuel reading, and also the short-term fuel trims can have accurate data to make those changes. So you have to wait at least about 45 to 60 seconds, and which is kind of a problem on bigger cam cars. You can see this car actually stalled out on them. Yep, we'll have to check that out here. So anyways, big cam cars, when the ECU, when the car first starts up, it has just like an idea of where it needs to be for fueling, until it can get feedback from the O2 sensor and then make the good adjustments. But when you have big cams and stuff in there, it's moving a lot more air. We can't really change that starting strategy until the wideband is warmed up and working. So that startup strategy is for basically a stock car. So with a ton more air going in there, it's running lean. And then once that wideband comes on and adds all that fuel in there, it needs to go right where it's supposed to. So it looks like this car is probably just running lean. Or if it's idling out, if it's stalling, it's got good fuel pressure too. If it's stalling after a start, then it's probably running lean, but we can't tell. We just have to make an educated guess on that. So we're going to look at the second cold start he has here. So I see a lot of jumping around and stuff on here, so I imagine the car's warmed up enough for wideband. Right here, you can see it clicked over. So right here, 14.7, the wideband's still not warmed up yet. And then we kick it on and it's got reading, and it probably started getting fuel trims about right here, I'm going to guess, just before it. So it looked like short-term fuel trims and air fuel came at the same time. And I said it, educated guess, it looks like it was leaning out, and that is correct. So you can see the ECU is adding 35% fuel to keep this thing hitting the fuel target. And it looks like possibly he blipped the throttle. Nope, it just had a quick rise in RPM, and that's likely because of the fuel. It's just adding a ton of it. So likely right here, we had this big change, and then it dropped down. More than likely, long-term fuel trim kicked in. Took this reading here from short-term, applied a long-term trim, and which brings short-term trims right back down to life. So more than likely, it's just leaning out right here and dying out. So we just got to add a little bit of fuel in it, and hopefully that'll help it out. So I'm going to bring that open. It's not just about regular power tuning and all that. I still have to go and help people diagnose their issues and stuff for starting and drivability, idle, all that good stuff. So there's more to tuning than just power stuff. So that's why I'm opening this one up. That way we can kind of look at an issue and see how I address it. So I'm going to go into all of the fueling settings, which is, I hate. The fueling strategy on these cars are ass. All right, so we just added a ton of fuel right there. And we'll see how that goes. This is a log on cold start. Let's see if it is any better. This is also the 85 car, dealing with kind of colder air. So E85 does not like the cold, so it takes a little bit to warm up. And also these cars are not flex fuel, so it can't accommodate for the ethanol. You just kind of have to speak dumb to it to get it to work. This is the same car here. Same car. I think he changed something. Yeah, his charge pipes failed, and he had to get new ones. But he's pretty low on boost. Blue is target, red is actual. So it's very possible that the maybe the new charge pipes might have a small leak. Yeah, because it's not even hitting torque or anything. And it's just really down on boost. Let's charge temps. Charge temps still in the 60s. Yeah, so I'm gonna have this customer look for a boost leak with the new charge pipes on there. It looks like it might be a little bit down on boost. If it's not, then we'll just have to accommodate for when it gets colder. We had to raise wastegate duty cycle, which doesn't make any sense because it's usually the opposite. So, got logs from Matt, got logs from Nathan. Sundog, can you tell me how much my tune from you made? I would need to know who you are, and then I can answer that for you. You send that customer email. The gear pull looks down on boost. Might want to check to make sure all clamps are tight on the new charge pipes. If nothing, we will make some tune changes. I know, very exciting watching me write an email. All right, another log done. Let's see if we got Nathan's on here. Who's first? Who first? Nathan or Matt? Oh, Tyrell beat you both. 205. Oh, he's been waiting 10 minutes for me to do his logs. I'm sorry. I didn't get a notification that I had another tune or another log. All right, so feeling is good. Feeling is good, likely because it's cold. I see it's a little warmer today. Yep, because it was 8 degrees Celsius in the last one. So a little bit warmer, so that's good. That's good. Look at torque. Cool. So we raised it up to where I'd like to be for torque. And you're right on that limit. And again, the torque's going to die off here. This is the purple line. Torque's going to die off because the turbo's running airflow and the head doesn't flow that much air. And the camshaft profile is weak. So that's why you're always going to have a huge torque taper off in the high RPM. And the pink line is what I'm commanding for torque, which doesn't really matter because it's dropping off anyways. But timing was good. Boost. Overshooting a little bit down low, but not a huge deal. Get some good stuff here. So I'm just going to make a quick change for boost down low. Air fuel nice and flat and good there. So we're reaching target torque. So I'm just going to bring down this overshoot a little bit and send you back out. And then we should be good to go. So find where you're at. 7%. Where the hell's your file at? There we go. When Tyrell, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. I'm going to say Tyrell. When you send logs, shoot me a message or make a comment in the chat. That way I know they're in there and I can hop over there real quick. So going to address that small spike in overboost right here. The red line is how much boost is being made. Blue line is how much being targeted. So we're just going to drop boost down right there to smooth that out. And should be nice. Should be nice. All right. Where were you at before? There we go. That's what we'll do. All right, Tyrell, I'm going to send you over, do 3 logs. Full throttle pull, take off from a stop, accelerate to 50 miles an hour, not full throttle, accelerate as if a cop is next to you. And then normal city driving, just cruising around town. Go ahead and grab those 3 logs for me and shoot them over. Matt, you are next. Boom. Boom. All right. Here's your logs. Beautiful flat boost still. Ooh, almost right on the line. That's perfect. So we just got the throttles just kind of keeping things right where they need to be. We're not losing any power by the throttle closing like that. If you were losing power, this is actual measurement of torque. Not exact as in these numbers are exact. These are a little low. When you start tuning the car, they kind of move all over the place. But anyways, this tells you how much torque the engine's actually producing. So you can see that it's nice and smooth and just gradually tapering off. And the big changes in the throttle are not affecting how much power the engine's actually putting out. It's keeping boost in check. So because your boost is nice and flat, your torque and engine output is going to be nice and flat. So that's why a lot of people, I think it's stupid where people want their tuner to tune their car with no throttle oscillations at all, or the throttle closing. They think it's killing power. It's not. This thing can close about halfway before you even see any sort of power reduction. So it's actually better and safer that the throttle is actually being activated to keep boost in check. And the same thing goes for load. You know, timing is part of the load algorithm. So if you have more timing, it makes more torque. If torque increases over what you have your limit set to, the throttle will correct boost a little bit and drop it down. With less boost is less load, so it also affects timing overall too. So the throttle actually closing and is in keeping everything in check is what you want. You know, you want to be right close. You want very minimal oscillations. This is barely anything here. We got a, you know, quick drop down, not too much, but power output's nice and smooth. It's making the power that it should. We're a little low. I know we pulled timing because of the knock you're getting, and it's still knocking. So I pulled timing out, and we still have quite a bit of knock. So what I'm going to say is we're pretty damn close. We just need to get it to stop knocking. I want to try a different fuel with the same timing. So let's look at your other logs real quick as well. So this will probably be the last revision today. But if you get better fuel, then I'll add that timing I already pulled out back in. So this is you driving around, excuse me, for 5 minutes. And what we're looking for here is we're looking at all the timing to make sure it's all pretty consistent. Timing at idle, this is where you're idling right here, is never going to be consistent and together. The trigger wheel on these engines is way low of resolution, so it can't accurately pick you know, really good timing at low. There's way too much noise, they'll call it. So that's why you're always going to see a huge variation in timing when you're idling. But as soon as you start accelerating, everything's good. It's spinning faster and it's reading accurately. And the only other thing that we look at for on here is if there's huge changes in the octane adjust ratio. So if octane adjust ratio is -1 for this entire 5-minute session, that means he had no huge knock corrections and big knock. Excuse me, ignition corrections and big knock. So the car's doing great on normal driving. And then when we get a little bit more load, slowly accelerating up to 50, we're looking for that same thing. We want to make sure that timing is nice and consistent. As you can see, it is. Every cylinder is spot on, except for at idle right here. And then we just look for octane adjust ratio as well. And it's nice and flat the whole way, so we're not getting any knock when he's just cruising, only under full throttle. And I like to also look at the air fuel as a max and min value. So this is sitting at a stoplight or a stop sign and then slowly accelerating up to 50 miles an hour and shifting through the gears. I want to make sure during that type of acceleration that you're not getting some crazy, weird, rich issues or any just weird variation that I'll see in the air fuel. So this huge spikes here are just him shifting. So it's cutting fuel off and then coming back in. But you can see fueling is pretty consistent for that whole acceleration, which is exactly what we want. And then over here is my face. So hold on a second. Let me move my face. This is a gauge reading. So it shows me, it's cut off for some reason, but it shows me right here that the lowest amount that this log has seen is 14.1, which is perfect. I don't want to see something like 9 or 10 or anything like that. That's just way too rich for a stop and slowly accelerate. So that's what we're looking at here in these types of log. No other tuners really do that. A lot of guys are just full third gear pull, you know, whatever, and that's it. So, Matt, keep the same tune, run the fuel that you have out of the tank. You know, go all the way to 0 miles to empty and just stay around a gas station and fill up somewhere else with a fresh tank of 93. Drive about 20, 30 miles and then log again and send it to me. Obviously, you won't be able to get that done today, but just send it over to me, and then throughout the week, I'll review it and send you a new log. So I'm telling you that. I didn't respond to your email. Hopefully, you're still watching it. Just go ahead and do that and send me over a log in the same exact email. Let's see. All right, so we raised boost up a little bit. We're seeing 21 pounds now, Nathan. These are your logs. And I'm kind of in the way again. Put myself down here, I guess. All right. Why is it cut? Actually, why is it cutting off? That's bothering me. Fit to screen, maybe? Ooh, that's not good. I fucked it up, guys. Uh-oh. I know I'm messing with it right now. Whoops. Whatever. It's not fixing it. I don't know why. Okay. So, back to it. We raised boost up. You're at 16 PSI. Now you're at 21. Still tapering off in the top end. Not a big deal. We'll raise that up later. So right now I still have you on that kind of break-in tune. So I have your boost max set pretty low. You can see we're clipping it down low. So we can raise that up now as long as all of our timing looks good. And it does not. It still looks like poop. So yeah, we already pulled a degree of timing out. We're not even at max boost right now. And we're already getting a ton of knock. So check plugs. Let the car cool down. Check the plugs. After you check the plugs, everything looks fine and there's no issues with them. Run this tank out again and just fill up somewhere else. We'll try it again. If we can't get good fuel in your area, we're just going to have to pull timing it down. And I think you're doing an E85 tune as well, and it's not going to be an issue on E85 for sure. So let's just check the plugs. If they're all good, change the fuel, run it all the way down to 0 miles to empty, fill up with fresh 93, drive for 20, 30 minutes, and then do a log, send it over to me. And if the timing clears up with new fuel, then we'll turn this up. But if not, we're just going to pull timing out. We're going to flatten out boost to about 23, 24 pounds. And that's just the best we're going to have to do with 93. And then we're going to make all your power on E85 or whatever your secondary fuel is. So go ahead and try those things, and let's hope that fixes it. Let's see. Questions. Adam Edenfield. How much horsepower on the tune that I sent you? So let me look you up real quick. I'm just going to bring up your... Okay. So you're a 93 octane S280 with a wastegate actuator. So yeah, S280 is on 93 octane. They make about 280, 290. In colder weather, they'll make a little bit more than that, but you're going to max out the fuel system. Stock fuel system is only good for about 300. So 93, if it's good 93 and I haven't had to pull much timing, I'd have to look at your logs again. But if I'm running full timing, actually I can tell you if I'm running full timing. Never mind, let me check. Yeah, we're good. We got good timing on there. So in decent weather, 70 degrees, with the timing you're running on 93 and the boost that we're going to end up at if we aren't already there. I only see one revision so far. But anyways, 24, 25 pounds of boost is going to make 290 roughly. Possibly 300 if you have a good intake on the car and you have an exhaust on the car. Tyrell, should I log for roughly 5 minutes straight for that third log? No, yeah, 5 minutes straight. So just hit record, drive around for 5 minutes, and then just hit stop record. It'll record that whole time. And I think it'll record up to 20 minutes, actually. David Smith, I have your W400 package with ETS intake and charge pipes running E30. What is a rough wheel horsepower with a setup like this? My guess is 370, 380. E30, ETS intake, and charge pipes, depending on where you're located at. I have too many David Smiths in my in my tune folders. But yeah, like usually 380, 390 is where you end up with E30 on those. If you're at not crazy elevation and not crazy high temps. So I think you are in Florida, if I'm guessing correctly. Maybe not. Maybe you're the one that's in Indiana. I'm not sure. I have too many of them. But yeah, if you're on E30 Focus RS, oh, well, I'm assuming Focus RS too, because we do make a W400 for Mustang as well. But anyways, E30 Focus RS, 380, 390. If you're a Mustang, 350, 360, or sorry, W400 kit, it's like 400, 420. Because our W400 kit for the Mustang actually comes with a turbo, where the the W400 for a Focus RS does not come with a turbo. Stock turbo quarter mile record for Focus RS is 11.7. And that was done in 2016, 1 month after the car came out, and it has not been beat since. So I'm actually debating on doing a run with a stock turbo car that I'm building right now. I'm actually going to see if we can get a faster time, I think. I'm going to try to get a stock turbo car to run like super low 11s without any weight reduction. Maybe the rear seats are going to come out, maybe, because that's what the car that had set the record with 11.7 was actually no rear seats. So to mimic the same weight, I might do that. I have a work trip tomorrow, so I'll be able to do it tomorrow. Sweet. Nathan, sweet. Also, what is the best for me to look at on the access port to monitor to make sure I have good fuel? I travel for work a good bit, so I can get fuel in different states, etc. Okay, Michigan. So going back to Matt's question, what to monitor on the access port? Octane adjust ratio. If you're a Focus RS, a Focus ST, or EcoBoost Mustang before 2018, after 2018, EcoBoost Mustang, you'll look at COM or KOM. So OR is octane adjust ratio, COM is knock octane modifier. They do exactly the same exact thing, but when it's COM, it's positive numbers. When it's OR, it's negative numbers. So what you want with OR is -1 is 100% of your timing. If it changes a little bit, it's not a big deal. The car's not going to always have no knock feedback or swing a little bit. But if you do fill up with shitty fuel and it goes from -1 to like -70 or -60 or even worse, then you're getting bad fuel. It's knocking too much, and it's pulling. When you pull out, if say you go from -1 to -0.50, you're missing about 2.5 degrees of timing, and it'll keep dropping until the car sees no more knock, or the ECU sees no more knock, and then it'll stay there until it can start add that timing slowly back, and it'll raise up. So look at octane adjust ratio. You can look at ignition corrections as well. And if you see like some huge negatives, like -4, -5, or even higher, it maxes out at -8. If you see stuff like that, then those are something to look out for. Try to figure out where that knock is happening. You know, if you're like taking off from a light, or if it's actually when you're doing a full throttle pull, that'll tell you that there's a problem. But if you have that big of ignition correction, you're also going to have a change in octane adjust ratio or COM. So that's what you're going to want to look at. You're going to want to look at those. Anything else, anybody else tells you anything else, just don't listen to them. And also don't believe that you have to be at -1 or +1 all the time. You don't have to be perfect -1. I get people that message me because their octane adjust ratio dropped to like -0.97, which is like less than 0.3 degrees of timing. So it's nothing. It's not anything you can even feel. But yeah, big swings are when you have concerns. 20 points, drop. That's what you don't want to see. No 85, just 93. It's going to suck if you can't find good 93. So check the plugs, report back. Let me know what you see there, and then I'll give you more instructions from there. So Nathan, you are good, or you're done. Matt, you're done. David Smith, Michigan. Yeah, E30 in Michigan. You got good fuel there. You got cool weather there. You have no elevation, basically, like 500 feet max, I think. Until you get in the UP. But anyways, yeah, so you're going to make 380, 390, especially about around this time of year. 40, 50 degrees outside, nice cold weather. It's going to make big power in the top end. Let's see here. Daniel Ring, if you're still in here, didn't you have a Fusion that I tuned? I really wish Cobb would have continued with support for that, because I would have loved to build one of those cars. But The software support is completely gone. And yeah, I mean, I can't even tune them anymore. Even if somebody has an access port, they just have to run whatever they had, which sucks because I think the Fusion would be a cool car to do a big power swap in and stuff. Just a little bit more luxurious of a car, but bigger power. So I'm still considering doing one day, but I'm gonna have to tune it with HP tuners, or I'm gonna throw the Motec in one. So I have a Motec for Focus RS, and I can pretty much use it in any setup. So it'll just ignore the RDU if I put it in a car that's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. So man, now I want to look at Fusions. I have too many cars already, so fuck it. Do you need a cold weather tune and hot weather tune? Or does the ECU just adjust like a tune done in summer to winter temps automatically? Okay, so I am going to bring up just a stock tune in the software. Import add all. Okay, so we're looking at a stock tune now. If you are, I mean, any car has this. So any car has this. If you have a Focus RS or EcoBoost Mustang, your guys' cars are tuned by torque. If you're tuned with us, if you're tuned with anybody else, they don't use those. But we tune the car specifically to a torque limit, and we use boost and timing to get there and stuff. So when you go from hot weather to cold weather, when we tune it based on torque, it sees that it's making torque with less boost. So what it'll do is actually dial back boost automatically. So it'll always target the same torque, whatever the conditions are. So if it drops down to like 30 or whatever, it might only see 16, 17 psi of peak torque, peak boost. Whereas in the middle of summer, where you're like 90 degrees or 100 degrees, it might show 25 psi because it needs as much boost as possible to try to hit that torque limit. And if it doesn't reach torque, there's also a ceiling for the boost. So my ceiling for a 93 car, for example, is 25 psi. If it hits that ceiling trying to reach torque, it rides the boost ceiling instead of still trying to overshoot. So, but going to Fiestas and Focus STs, they can also be tuned by torque, but the torque on those is super, super weird. It's best to just eliminate that style of tuning and then focus on tuning for boost, tuning for safe boost limits. Knowing the car's capabilities and stuff is obviously needed to pick a desired boost for any configuration or fuel type. So we tune for boost, and say we're reaching 25 pounds of boost in the middle of summer, and that's your max power tune. Everything looks good. And then when winter comes around, we know as tuners, you should know if you're a tuner, that when it's colder, the car makes more power. So at the same amount of boost, say your Fiesta ST, 25 psi on an S280, and you're making 280 wheel horsepower for that setup on 25 pounds of boost in the middle of summer. When it gets cold and you're still running that same 25 pounds of boost, you're making way more power. And that sounds great, but it's not great if you're maxing out your fuel system and like 280 is your safe space, and then it gets colder. Now it makes more power organically. Now you're leaning out up top. So what I do is there's compensations in the tune. So that's what I'm going to bring up right now in the software. We have a ton of compensations when I search for it, but this is like for custom speed density. This is for traction control. This is for some boost control. So what we're looking for is the different types of compensations for the wastegate, because what we want to do is as it gets colder, we want to drop boost so the car continues to make the same power but at less boost. But if you don't set up these compensations, your boost is going to be the same all the time. So the first one that we look at in this car, this is a stock tune. So this is what's actually interesting, is this is 100% stock tune for a Fiesta ST. There's no compensations in place for elevation. Which is a lazy part on Ford's side, because if you get tuned at, let's just say you're up in Denver, Colorado, you're about 12 psi barometric pressure, right? So we can run more boost to make the same power. So if we tune your car for 27 psi, and we have no compensations for elevation, you can go down in elevation to sea level, say you leave Denver, Colorado, and you go down to Texas, and now you're at 500 feet instead of 4,000 feet. Uh, that same 27 psi is going to be way too much boost for the fuel type. So you need to change boost with elevation as well. So if you're, if barometric pressure when I tune a car at sea level is 14.5 ish, and you drop down to 12.5, so 2 whole psi of barometric pressure, you're going to gain 2 psi of boost to make the same power, basically. So you got to accommodate boost for elevation as well. So you need a barometric pressure compensation table set up. I set them up in our tunes, but it's funny that the stock one does not have it. Same thing goes for charge temp. Stock tune makes no change to boost for charge temp. And this is what we're coming in, you ask if a cold weather tune and a hot weather tune is needed. No, it's not when you set this up properly. So if I tune your car in 80 degrees, I'm right here. And one means 100% boost. And say it drops down to 20 where you live. Say you're in Michigan and it's 20 degrees. You're still, if this is at 1, there's no compensation or boost pulled back or torque pulled back. Boost pulled back without this change here. So I know that when you're down in 20 degrees, you're making a whole bunch of power. We got to pull back boost by like 15%, say, or 20%. So we make this 0.8. So 0.8 is 80% of whole. So if whole is, 25 psi, we just pulled back 20% of 20 psi. So 4 psi or something like that. So, and then as the temperature gets colder here, you keep dropping it. So if you're in -40, you're in Minnesota and you got -40 like I do, we do 0.6. That's 40% boost taken out, and then we just smooth it out. So as you can see here, if we tune it in 80, we want to slow taper down, keep pulling boost as temperature drops. So, and then if a customer says, hey, I'm running like super low boost in winter, I'll have them log it real quick, and then maybe I took too much boost out, and I'll just raise this back up to get some boost back in there. But that's how you don't have to have a cold weather and hot weather tune. There's tuners out there that say that they need it, and they do those. Well, that's just because they're poor tuners. They should be using compensations in the fucking software. There's a load error one, so if you're seeing too much load versus your target, you can make compensations there. If you're overshooting boost, it can automatically pull boost back down to a target. These get all set up. And the same thing for ambient temperature overall. I use charge air temperature because that's what's actually getting into your engine. And this is ambient temperature. This doesn't really affect what's going. I mean, it does. The colder the temperature, the colder the charge air temp is going to be. But you don't really need to make changes for ambient if you're actually making changes based on the temperature of the air going into the engine, which is going to be charge temp. Yeah, another long answer to a short question. So Joey sent the log now. I will open that up. How much boost can a Mustang EcoBoost stock motor support? It depends on the turbo, depends on the fuel. That's too vague of a question, really. Daniel Rings got a 2860 with 4-port. Randy tuned it, but yeah, I'm fresh out of luck now. Yeah, it sucks. Hopefully it's running well. I wish, like I said, I wish the Cobb software still had it, or else we'd still support it. Curious on my setup now, what power I'm making roughly, and when I find perfect 93, what kind of difference will it make? So you're missing about, Matt, when we were looking at your logs, you're missing about 20 foot-pounds of torque roughly because you're getting so much knock. So with with you being 20 pounds of foot torque down, 20 foot-pounds of torque down, you're missing like 15 to 25 horsepower roughly. So, and the same for torque, 20 to 30 there. So, yeah. So once you get perfect 93, a bolt-on car with 93 octane and like say 70-degree weather, I always use that as my baseline. You're going to make like 355 to 370, somewhere in between there. I would say being down south a little bit, with it being a little bit more warm, you're probably going to be more realistically around 360, 365. Let's see here. All right, Joey, I got your log. Actually, we got Cameron's first. So Cameron, these are your logs. Let's pop these open real quick. Or sorry, new log, I should say. So this is 91 octane Peron GTX 2868 or 2860 maybe. Hold on, it's either a 60 or a 67. 60. That's what I figured because it's got good spool. So yeah, we raise boost up. We're still letting that creep do its job. 24 psi is what we want to see on 91. Hopefully we don't have any knock. We don't. So let's see where we're at for fuel. So you are leaning out a little bit up top. It's not too lean. Everything's perfect where it's at. But if we do add a little bit more timing here and a car makes a little bit more power, it's probably going to lean out up to about 13. So you got good fuel pressure. So you're just out of injector, basically. So I am going to bring up boost just a hair more because I think your fuel has it in it. And your timing shouldn't knock with just a small little bit of boost that we're going to add in. So, but this means that you're going to have to do a fuel system to make any more power from where you're at because you are maxing out the stock fuel system here. I'm going to make one change too. Another one here is there might be a little bit more room to get some fuel in the engine. Let me check all the settings that I had in the last one. So slot one. I fucking was on the wrong screen. God damn it. Hey, there's your log, buddy. So anyways, the orange line, my bad. Orange line you can see up top is starting to trend up, and that's going lean. So that's what I meant to show on there. So yeah, we're not gonna lean this car out much. We're gonna add a little bit more boost in the top end. I'm talking like not even half a psi more boost is what I'm going to allow for. Get that boost in there. And then we're going to add just a little bit of timing, not much. Talking half a degree of timing being added in as boost ramps up. And we're going to check your fuel. Make sure we're getting as much fuel in there as we possibly can with the stock system. Yes, yes, yes. There's room for improvement, actually. So we might be able to get this trending lean in the top end actually to go away a little bit. 3, 5. So what I'm doing is I'm actually opening up the injectors longer during the engine cycle. So I'm allowing the injectors to spray as long as possible. You can spray on the intake stroke, and you could spray on the upstroke. Sorry, on the compression stroke, and then you have the firing stroke. If you spray through the intake stroke and the combustion stroke, you have to stop spraying fuel before timing comes on, because at that point you're still spraying fuel while there's spark ignition, and that's just going to shoot a fucking hole through your piston, or it's just going to shoot a huge flame out the exhaust and the car's going to break up. So we only have so much room where we got to cut fuel off before that timing hits to not break anything. And you could also explode your injector too, as if the flame travels up into it. So we had to be very careful with that. A lot of tuners don't make changes to these tables because they don't understand them, because they are complicated, because it's not like a normal easy math. You have to understand what data you're actually looking at there to make changes properly. So Cobb even gives you a warning, but because I work with direct injection systems so much, I know exactly what all of it means. So I'm not tooting my horn or anything here. It's just you need to know how to make changes to these fuel injection tables on these cars to not blow shit up. So even like I said, there's even a note in there. It says use extreme caution when modifying these values, as they may disrupt the combustion process during the compression stroke. So, and that's what I mean. So we got more fuel in there, it looks like. So we'll be able to keep that from leaning up top, Cameron. And then we added about a half PSI of boost, and then we add another half degree of timing. If your boost looks good on the next log and your timing has no knock on it, then we're going to be set for 91. So we're going to send that back over to you so you have a new tune, buddy. And Joey's first log with the 85. Right. So we had a quick pull, small turbo. So we allowed for more boost. We're overshooting just a hair, but not a big deal. Main thing is we're looking to make sure we're getting some fuel in there. And yes, we are getting plenty of fuel. It's a little rich down low, so we'll end up leading that out after we get a full pull. So a little rich down low. You can see short-term fuel trim is pulling out a ton of it, but not too bad. So we're pretty damn close with fueling. A little bit overshoot on the boost. And timing looks good. All right, so go ahead and do that full pull, buddy. 2,500 RPM all the way out to 6,500 RPM. And you're a 2018 automatic EcoBoost Mustang, so you're doing it in 5th gear because you got 10 speed. So go ahead and with the same exact tune and everything, go out and do a full rip. Nick Corwin, I switched the new OEM boost control solenoid, stock intercooler, testing for boost leaks now. Okay. All right. So you're testing for boost leaks. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make a new tune, Nick, before you do that. Because we don't want to overshoot boost on that, because I know that when you made those changes right there, going to the stock controller, and if the solenoid was any different, we might be overshooting it. So we're going to make a tune real quick to pull your boost back, and I'm going to email that to you real quick so you can log it. I probably already did lower boost, but let's just see where we end up. And you are on... Nick, you're on E50 right now, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're on E50. All right. So I'm sending you over a new tune for E50 with those changes you made, so you don't get any overboost. And I'm just going to name it a test file. And let me find the last email from you real quick. New tune sent to you, bud. Go ahead and give that a test, and we'll see where we end up. Might have to do a log or two, but it's worth it. I think the testing is worth a little bit extra work. Let's see here. Comp Turbo 5858 with port injection. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the 5858, that Comp Turbo is going to explode before you make any good power anyways, which I said the other week, too. But I would say about 26, 27 pounds of boost out of that turbo to get you around 400, 420. That is if the turbo sticks together. Those Comp 5858s are they just come apart. They literally snap off the turbine housing. Let's see here. Yep, thanks. Okay, so you're all good. Joey, you got you're gonna go back out and do a new log. Nathan, you're done. Matt, you're done. And Tyrell, I think, is out logging one more time. And then we'll just be waiting on Joey. Okay. All right. Get back in here. Let's look at another log real quick while those guys are doing those. And we got Frank B all the way out in Australia with one of our built engines and parts from everything. There he is, the EcoBoost God. Nice. James Carey, living the Supra life, bud. I thought about it, but I ended up buying an Audi RS6 wagon instead. I should have bought a Porsche. Stupid. Anyways, this is Frank B out in Australia. I shipped him a full long block. Shipped him an NX2 turbo, a wastegate actuator, a fuel system, a clutch, everything, a full build for Focus RS. Shipped out to Australia, so we're just tuning the car now. There was a drivability issue, which would end up just being some weird cam timing changes that just I don't know where the settings came from. It wasn't a stock and it wasn't ours. It must have happened in an update, and I think Cobb made a small change. But yeah, I'd fixed all the cam timing settings and got this car running right. So now we're just tuning it on 98 RON. They don't have octane over there. They have what's called RON. And 98 RON is equal to about our 93. But the difference is that in Australia, they only have 5% ethanol most of the time in their 98 RON or their 93 octane. Here in the United States, our 93 octane, our 92 and 91 all have 10% or more, sometimes 15% ethanol in it. And ethanol suppresses knock, allows you to run more power. That's why people do E30, E40, E50 tunes, or even E85 tunes. That's where all the power comes from, that ethanol. An ability to run more timing and boost without knock. So this is why we're seeing up top here, the reason I bring it up is we have a drop in timing here, and it's knocking. So, and it's all 4 cylinders. So we're going from about 4.85 degrees of timing down to 2.35. So that's 2 degrees of timing that was pulled out because of a knock event. And that's because it only has 5% ethanol in the fuel there, which kind of sucks. So, yeah, so we can't really push the car on 90, 98. You know, it's built engine and stuff, but these cars need timing to make power. I can just throw a ton of boost at it, and the power doesn't really come up that much. It needs timing and boost to make big power on these things to overcome the restrictions in the factory style cylinder head. So boost is good, red and blue line. You know, they're right on target there. It's got a small drop up top, but that happens during that knock. So the energy of the knock, it drops the energy in the exhaust because there's no clean combustion, and we have a drop in boost because the turbo didn't stay spooled up. So that will flatten out, so we don't need to change any boost settings on this. So we're good with that. Our fueling was nice and flat through the whole RPM. It's not rich or lean, so we don't have to make any fuel changes. I just need to pull a little bit of timing in the top end to keep this car from knocking. So this customer has a methanol injection kit as well, so we're going to make all of his power on that, or at least try to. Also, I'm pretty sure it's getting cold here and getting hot in Australia. So 20, 25, let's say 26C to F, 78 degrees. Not too hot. So this is just a fuel thing here. We'll check his other log. We'll see if it's consistent. That boost, I'd really like to flatten it out, but I can't really if it's knocking. Yeah, it's getting a little bit of knock up top too. We had a 1 degree knock change here, and then another 2 degree up here. So it's just a fuel quality issue. If it was like a plug issue or injector issue or something like that, you wouldn't see it on all cylinders. You'd only see the corrections on one. When the knock happens and it's all the cylinders, it's the variable that's the same in every cylinder, and that's the fuel. So we have these drops here. We know it's a fuel quality issue. It's not running lean. That could be another reason why. And the boost is very mediocre, 24. It should be 26. So we need to accommodate for the fuel quality the customer has available to him in Australia. And he's not going to be happy because he wants to make more power on 98 RON. But we fucking can't. So it's just your fuel quality. I don't make the fuel, bud. All right, Frank, you think you watched it last week. I don't think you're in here now, but I want to let you know that a new tune is attached to log, getting some knock in the top end, so I have to drop timing down. Boost is going to stay the same. That'll pretty much do it for a 98 RON tune for that car, and then we got to do some methanol. All right. Tyrell, going to pop yours open real quick. We made a quick change to smooth out boost down low. All right, coming up. Yep, smoothed it out a little bit. So we said that quick small spike, which is normal because it's stock turbo. So we got a small spike, turbo hangs on, meets target, and then just slowly tapers off because it's running out of airflow. So we're good there. Check our timing. Timing's solid the whole way. Your charge temp isn't hot. Yeah, 36.2. 36.2 is, if you just had 8 the other day, 100 degrees. Terrell, why do you have such a huge change in your temp? This is probably because you were sitting on the side of the road or something and heat soaked it, I bet. I bet it's just heat soak. I think you're on stock intercooler too, aren't you? If that's the case, that's probably why. Nope. Oh, depot racing from on intercooler. Womp, womp, womp. Anyways, good enough. It's dropping temp, but it probably just heat soaked a little bit. Ignition timing is consistent across the entire driving range. Everything looks good there. Octane adjust ratio did not drop, so you didn't have any knock. And then your 5-minute drive. All good. No change in ore. I'm on the depot, he says. Yes. So yeah, we don't have any timing areas to look at because we didn't have any knock events. And then we're just going to check one last thing here. I don't know why I did that. We're going to check to see what our highest and lowest point of air fuel was. So 11.7 was our lowest air fuel. Let's just see if that happened during load. I'm going to pinpoint it here. Let's see which one looks the lowest. Yeah, this looks like it all happened. Which one is the lowest one? Where the hell is it at? Yeah, it's not going to show it. Okay, yeah, right here. It's just from you coming from a just rolling on and off the throttle. You went a little bit heavier on the throttle there, so it added a little bit more fuel as it should. So perfect, spot on. Everything looks good there. No knock. Boost was smooth on the pull. So we are all set. Big sad, but I couldn't fork over the money for an intercooler at the time. Def gonna upgrade in the new future. If it's, for your setup, stock turbo RS, 94 octane. Being up in Canada, it's cold. Your depot intercooler is going to be fine. But I know what's going to happen is the intercooler is going to be fine, but eventually all the brackets are going to break off of it. We had 2 cars in the shop within the past month that came in for full builds, and we took their front bumper off, and their intercooler was just hanging there by the charge pipes, and it's because all 4 brackets broke off of it. ETS kind of had a similar issue when they very first came out, but they immediately addressed it. They fixed every single one that broke, and all the new ones that came out all had reinforcements for the brackets. And that's because it's actually from the core support moving so much because it's plastic. And it just, the intercooler is able to move too much and puts too much stress on those brackets. So, yeah, that's the thing is depot racing won't do anything. I'm funny you should say that. It's probably broke already. So anyways, depot racing is not going to do anything for you. They're not going to change their design because they already made a bunch of Chinese versions of it. But that's the benefit of buying, USA made company products. It's more expensive, but if something happens and the brackets broke, ETS is going to fix it for you. You ship the intercooler back to them, they're going to fix it, send it right back to you. And usually they have like a quick turnaround, like they'll send it back to you with like 2-day air or something like that. So that's a huge benefit of buying from, companies where they're manufacturing their product here in the United States, and not somebody that has just a storage unit full of intercoolers that they had made in Japan or in China. My bottom one broke, the other bent, and the top 2 are holding strong. Because the other one's bent, that one's taking all the load right now. That one's going to break, and then your top ones are going to take all the load, and then those are going to break too. So let's see. So Tyrell, you are good to go, buddy. There are no changes needed for the tune. Thing is solid. You are all set. Unless you want to do another fuel tune, E30, race gas, something like that, turn up the power. All right, Joey, let's look at your shit here. And then I got to get strolling soon. But at least we got you up and running on the 85 today. We can do some more logs during the week. So not a single drop of knock, which is a pleasant experience here on your tune because your 91 octane was so bad. Air fuel is good through the entire pull. You are seeing 25 pounds of boost down low, getting some of that wave. That's just from the restriction in that turbine housing. If it was a single scroll, you wouldn't have this choppiness. This choppiness is coming from, you see the little bit of clipping here where we have the red line, which is our desired boost, and our white line, which is our actual boost. So the throttle's kicking in, causing a little bit of back pressure in the charge system where the boost is coming from. So the turbo, it's going to roll back and kind of slow down the turbo a little bit, and it's going to be like juddery because there's so much restriction in that turbine housing. So it's going to jump around a little bit. If this was single scroll, you wouldn't have so much turbulence. And it would be nice and smooth. It would still correct because we're obviously overshooting, but it'd be all super smooth. And you can see it's wavy and choppy through here because the turbo's trying to settle down and start creating, consistent boost again, which it's doing up here. So what we need to do is we need to raise your boost limit up because you said you want to send it to the moon. We also need to add a ton more timing because we're very, very modest on timing on the first base map. So we are going to add the 2.5 pounds of boost allowed. And then we're going to try to get the turbo to make that boost, which is probably going to struggle. To be honest with you, it's probably going to struggle. Let's see here. Compressor out. Raising the boosties. All right, so down low. Down low, you're around here, what, 4? Okay, 4 or 5. I know that doesn't make any sense to you guys, but I promise it makes sense to me. All right, raising up the boost a little bit. We're going to raise up the top end because it's tapering off a little bit. Yeah, we'll do that. Wait, what was it at? Here we go. Interesting. Why do we have such a weird... Oh, that's why. That is why. All right. Smooth out your boost curve. Sorry, I got quiet there for a second. I was really focusing. Let's see. So we're going to go there with it. And we're going to go there with it. And that'll smooth everything out. Noise. Noise, noise, noise. Now we got to add some timing into it. We're going to add it via the knock sensor, via ignition correction. And allow it to add timing in big chunks and fast. All right, so we're going to allow it to do that, and then we're going to add up to 5 degrees. This will bring up to 10 degrees of timing total in the top end. Do this. We're going to add a little bit of timing for your driving around too, so the car feels a little bit responsive during part throttle stuff. So Joey, you got a new tune attached to log. So go ahead and see if you can get that logged. I'm actually going to be taking off. It's already 3:05. I've been down here for 2 hours. I'll check out your log tomorrow morning when I'm working here. Where are we at? Where are we at? All right. Do I put it in work? I'm on the depot. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, levels is quick. Nice. Yeah, levels is real quick. They're real quick at getting back to the $3,500 that they owe me, which I'll never see. But probably going to get bored next year if I have some free time. And then I'm going to pursue it. And then he's going to owe me a lot more than $3,500. Anyways, my city offers 94 for the highest. Going to drive a few hours to buy a barrel of ethanol. Oh yeah, I think you're super far north Canada too, aren't you? What city are you in Canada? And 92 octane is actually good. 92 octane in the Pacific Northwest is actually just as good as 93 in the Midwest. Estimated power being that you're up north, you got bolt-ons, 94 octane. Their timing was good, and it being like in the 40s and 50s there's right now. I'd say you're making like 360 to 370 with the mods that you have on that fuel, and I would say your torque's probably going to be like 410, 420. You get a lot of torque when it's cold outside. So, um, and you're in Edmonton. Oilers is one of my favorite hockey teams. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite. And then all in for the 500 wheel horsepower like Benjamin. I don't know if that turbo is going to make 500, buddy. I think it's going to make like 450 and maybe 460 and die out. I think if you change the housing, we can probably throw it, all the boost at it, and probably make 500. And then Tyrell, that's to the wheels. So 360, 370 to the wheels. And torque is, like I said, 410, 420, also to the wheels. You want to line up with Joey? Aren't you in Washington and he's in California? Isn't that like 6 hours of driving? I don't know how many pounds you're going to make on that test tune. I have a set limit, Nick, of the max amount of boost allowed, but I can't really tell you where you're going to end up with boost on that tune. I just know it's going to be on the lower side for safety. And then that's why I have to review the log and then make a change, percentage wise to bring you up in boost. So go ahead and do that log and shoot it over to me, and then I'll check it out and reply to you tomorrow morning. You are welcome. Enjoy it. If you have questions, email me. And 10 out of 10, best tuner. Yes. I should get that on a shirt and piss off everybody, because anytime I make shirts with like something stupid on it, it makes everybody, I'm talking about other tuners, mad as fuck. So I don't mind. What is Emily sending me here? All right, I think it's gonna knock it out for today. We got a couple guys taken care of. I wish we'd have been able to get a couple more logs from them, but they got to address their fuel issues. And Joey's got to go out there and do some more pulls. But we got too long to get set up on the 85. Well, I'm a 12 out of 10 now. Nice. That's for my tuning abilities, not for anything else. Definitely not what I look like or the shape I'm in. Those are like threes. I'm about to go pound some cereal right now, I think. I love being fat. Don't care. All right, guys. I'm going to, next week's live stream, I'm going to actually try to push throughout the week to get a lot more people signed up so we can have a consistent flow of people actually in the chat sending over logs so I can interact with them. I want to get more. I want at least to get, your guys' cars within like 70-80% of the way completed when we do these. It's 2 hours. I know some people it takes a little bit longer to get logs. Can't be like Matt Castle and just go right out into the country instantly from his front driveway. So, but yeah, next week we'll get Joey's car probably done before then. But you should go to the track on next Sunday if there's one open and see how fast we can get going. So I want to see how fast we can push a stock engine 10-speed car, because the 10 speeds kill the time for the Mustangs. They go so much faster on 6R80s. So just too short of gears on the 10-speed. I want to work with a car that goes to the track with a 10-speed so we can work on skip shifts. So where we start and we launch in second, and then we don't shift second to third. We shift second to fifth, or second to fourth, and then fourth to sixth, and then sixth to seventh, eighth, up in the top end when you're getting down the track, the gears get longer so you can shift sooner. But yeah, I would like to get a 10-speed dialed in and see if we can gain time by skip shifting. I think it would be a good idea. The V8 guys don't have to worry about that issue because they got a ton of torque and power in the top end, whereas the top end of a stock engine EcoBoost Mustang is very much non-existent. So yeah, see if the track is open next Sunday and we can do some logs while you're at the track and do it on live stream and post up your slips and shit like that. So all right, we're good to go. I'm going to let this thing buffer out and then end it. In dog bed. Why is this guy spirit fingering? There's like nothing in the middle. Oh my god, a big old mattress goes in the middle. I kind of want a human dog bed. Stupid. Already got a thing. Dog. Lex, what are you doing down here, buddy? You're supposed to be upstairs. Nice. Whoop. Let's see. Follow slow Fiesta. Oh, gotcha. I didn't know you were slow Fiesta, dude. All right.